Lagiacrus, looking beautiful, majestic, incredible, and... Oh yeah, Seregios is also here.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that.
Hello, my fellow hunters. How are you doing? If it's anything like me, it's bubbling away with title update 2 excitement, and I need it now. I know it's only like a couple of days away, but... in the meantime, though, who's ready for some hot update information? Yes, indeed, we have the full update patch notes of everything going into title update 2 and everything being changed, and this is usually filled with some big reveals. The weapon changes should be here, and, I mean, let's just get into it. The beautiful renders aside, I then want to draw your attention to the release time. So, this is the same with title update 1, quite late in the morning for at least me. This is going to be 5:30 AM in the morning. That might be pushing it even for me. We'll see, but maybe the first pro and noob on our new beautiful monsters might be the Tuesday. I do apologize in advance if I collapse before I can do it on the night. In any case, though, it's nice to have the actual time a little bit later than title update 1, but there we have it. Still a strange release time, but I suppose they wanted to stick to that June promise, and here we are. In any case, then, major additions, major changes. We've got, of course, Lagiacrus. You need to complete a world turned upside down, which is kind of that, like, middle, everything's going crazy, do all of the apexes, and then you get the tempered version after HR 41 and doing the base. Seregios is exactly the same as Lagiacrus. You get him after world turned upside down, and the tempered at 41. Then Archtempered of Duna a little bit later, and then this tempered monsters will now appear in monster herds. That's kind of terrifying and really exciting. Definitely something to look into, and I'm really curious how that's going to feel. In any case, then, let's get down to this. Of course, new equipment, new skills. We expect that. Seregios, Lagiacrus likely will both have a new skill as title update monsters, and indeed all of just the general additions. Interestingly, though, we have ourselves a new support hunter, Fabius, who is a lancer, of course, and that's really curious, especially because he'll only be available after completing a Hunter's Pride, but then also only during a limited time seasonal event. So how that's going to manifest is going to be very curious to see, but it looks like we're going to have some fun Fabius times in our future, which are, of course, the best times to have them. Now, to your bases and your facilities then, we've got a load of lovely quality of life, like getting a item box outside of the hunter's tent in each base camp, getting an outdoor item box as camp gear, which is really good too, just saves you constantly going in and out if you just want to have a restock. We know about the Alma and Eric handler swap, which I still think is absolutely hilarious, and then trading for seasonal event items is nice too. Said seasonal event on July 23rd. We get all the new outfits. Barrel bowling is going to get a makeover as well. The Blossom Dance stuff we expected to have. Some new limited bounties. Nothing kind of earth-shattering here. And then some more quality of life. And, of course, the ever-important ranking categories for Vision Endemic Life. I imagine this is going to be groundbreaking. And, actually, no, look, anything that is to do with Endemic Life, I am all for, so yeah, bring it. Down to miscellaneous, and this is most curious. So we've got another extra mission in Trembling Blue Currents, we've got another extra mission in Clear with a Chance of Sandstorm, New Fashion, Old Feelings. So that's 3 new side missions, and each of them become available after a world turned upside down. Now, I'm going to assume then that Trembling Blue Currents is your Lagiacrus reveal mission, your Clear with a Chance of Sandstorm is going to be your Seregios one, but then what is New Fashion's Old Feelings going to be? I'm assuming, because we saw it in the trailer, it's going to be the Caravanier's armor set for male, and then Gemma's armor set for female. oilwell, which makes sense for New Fashion's old feelings, harkening back to their caravan days, and this you get after said world upside down, and then Smithy's seal of quality, tying it back to Gemma. That is really, really sweet and lovely two armor sets to get. I mean, just anything extra is wonderful, and they both should have actual skills, which is really, really neat. I can't wait to see how they actually pan out. A new area to the Scarlet Forest, I'm assuming then that's going to be Lagiacrus's nest, which is kinda cool, and a new key of dialogue has been added for Ferdinand in the Windward Plains base camp. Okay, I assume that's gonna be neat. We get a new pendant for it. I'm excited to talk to Mr. Ferdinand. And then we can get the environment overview in the Grand Hub, which is really, really good and should always be a thing. Then we have this for Steam. The warning dialogue is nice, as things can be wrong without you actually realizing it. We have had this added, which is at least something, you know, positive, and then there's, well, the rest of it that you can take in yourself. There is some VRAM changes we'll talk about later, but most of all, when it comes to performance and feedback about the state of the game, we have what they released earlier, the little director's letter, and how they're going to communicate with the community better, and the title update 3 changes onwards. Basically, things are really looking up in a meaningful way, and if you want the more details in that, well, check it out, it's already up on the channel. For now then, let's go down here, where we get ourselves this, which is nice for, you know, the underwater combat that is actually coming. We get ourselves some more quality of life, some quick restocks, the weapon usage customization that they told us about, and then all of these which seem really, really nice. The excess item gathering setting in particular, that can be really, really annoying, and this is interesting. I assume that's going to be the glow that they said we could toggle on and off, so that's nice to see. I do hope we eventually get the ability to toggle off the pop-up of skill is activated, skill is deactivated, skill is activated, because that's kind of, I much preferred the Rise and Sunbreak when it went to that, but it is good to get more customization. Then your bug fixes and balance adjustments. This is where things get interesting. So we've got some fixes, and that's always good to see, but nothing too crazy going on here. But monsters-wise then, adjusted how often monsters will discover pop-up camps. I assume downwards, so they stay actually constructed more often. This would be so funny if it was adjusted how often they find them. They're going to find them constantly. You will have no camps, even in previously safe little caves that monsters can't even get to. They're going to get to now. And then we get tempered wounds in challenge quests will be in fixed locations, just to keep it consistent, and it's a very interesting change, just to make times a little bit more even and fair, so that's actually really curious to see. Then we get ourselves this. We regain control of our character slightly faster after starting a quest. This is good to see. That was absolutely completely ruining the game, so I'm glad that's finally being addressed. In any case, the rest are all just fixes, nothing too ridiculous, and the usual kind of mysterious other changes have been made. Assumedly, nothing too big going on there. Then, the weapons. This is where we get a little bit eyebrow-raisy. So, we get a few more stuns on a sword and shield moveset. We've got a little bit of a damage increase on Perfect Rush. It's kind of nice because it just kind of wasn't being used for the meta sword and shield rotation. No one's going to complain at an increase to an evade window. And generally, we have much kind of nice changes for the weapon. Chop and slide slash going down is a shame, but the compensation buffs, hopefully, are more than enough to, well, compensate. Same with counter slash. Obviously, I'm not an SNS main, so you guys will read this and have a more appropriate reaction. I do apologize if I read a line and I'm like, oh nice, that looks good overall, seems like you're gonna be happy, and then I get to the comments and they're like, no, you don't understand, they've destroyed everything we love and hold dear, the weapon is in ruins. So, you know, pinch of salt here. We'll get to the ones that, you know, I kind of get more than that. But in any case, since I went over it, it's now actually a decrease instead of increase. So, well, sadness. Take that into your calculations when looking at the weapon. Dual blades! And dual blades are looking mighty. We get more movement speed during demon mode, which is really, really good. We've got a new actual chaining of dodge into blade dance instead goes to blade dance 2, which is really, really good. A little bit of a skip there. This is nice as well. You can change mid movement just to make things a little bit more smooth. We've got just a responsiveness improvement. I hope that will actually be felt. We've got raw damage being buffed. We've got screw slicer being greatly increased on all fronts, so that might actually give it a much needed push towards the spotlight. We've got more increases, which are always nice. Hopefully they are meaty enough. We've got a slight decrease on blade dance elementally. However, the raw damage has been increased, so if that is an overall gain, then that's just great. And with the state of element in wilds and how even dual blades are trending towards raw, just technically having the right element on their weapon, this is likely to be an overall benefit. Then we've got a slight less bit of raw on the demon boost, but then the scaling of elements has gone up, so that should essentially balance itself out if it's a apt change, and then just a couple issues. So dual blades I do think is looking quite nice, and they did label dual blades as a major weapon they wanted to address. Now longsword has some changes, guys. Longsword here with some adjustments in directions. Yeah! But fear not, for I have asked our resident longsword switch X charge blade dual blade main in Hollow about this, and overall he is quite optimistic / pleased, and that's what I'm seeing from a lot of longsword mains too. Basically, currently you kind of want to be doing Spirit Blade 1 into Crimson / 1. This aims to sort of diversify that by promoting the rest of the Crimson combo, and hopefully nudging towards more variety in red gauge, and hopefully encouraging a nudge towards variety in red gauge, actually using more of its follow-ups or a charged up attack, and that's kind of nice. Generally, there's a lot of increases here, and it's positive across the board. A few little negatives, like the element scaling on Crimson / 1 been decreased, but that feels fairly okay. Cool. Anyway, so yeah, in theory, this should make the sort of end game of what Longsword is attempting to do after it's been building to be a little bit more interesting, but the numbers will decide everything. It depends just how severe these changes are. But let me know what you think if you are a Longsworder. Hammer then, that's getting an entirely new follow-up move, is looking peachy, and this is really, really nice to see that they have. Getting this chain from Earthquake into Side Blow is nice, and then offsets on Upswing and Mighty Upswing is ridiculous, just an extra offset. That is a huge upgrade for the weapon, and it needed. Big Bang damage going up is really good as well, as is the Mighty Charge Slam, and honestly, this is just looking really nice for Hammer on top of their previous improvements in the May update. Hunting Horn is also getting further changes, and that's really, really nice. You can now perform while moving, which actually might have some tangible benefit when you're riding around on your secret. A significant increase to the actual hitbox of Echo Bubble, make it more consistent. That's really, really nice, but nothing kind of earth-shattering here. Lance with a couple of little changes, and they don't seem like the most ridiculous, but they should at least help a little bit. Hitboxes going up is always nice, and to be fair, this chain might be, you know, actual game-changing, so you'll have to let me know, Lancers. Gunlance just getting an issue fixed, and then we go on to Switch Axe, which, yeah, kind of a wall here. So, once again, this is going to be the realm of your switch axes, and don't worry, once the actual title update is here, we will be thoroughly testing all of the weapons with mains of those weapons, cotton and hollow between them, essentially playing them all, and let you know the actual numbers and raw results here, so we know what we're working with. Right now, we're just kind of getting a feel based on the word increased or decreased. Switch axe then is interesting. We were ideally hoping for it to kind of do something to diversify the just spam full release / playstyle, but seemingly it's still gonna be kind of it, though there is attempts made here. Axe mode is just kind of generally better, it's got more output, the morphs and the gauge building have increased, and there's a tiny little nudge in the right direction for sword mode. Element file buffs are nice, but with element hit zones, it really depends how that's going to change, what the new monsters are going to actually bring in terms of their elemental hit zones, and how that'll develop over future title updates as well, but there is a little bit of a potential there. Essentially, it's nice, but not really like super crazy impactful, unless again the behind the scenes tweaks to the motion values, the numbers are randomly gargantuan, and then we'll start to see. But in terms of what Switch Axe wants to just be spam doing for its peak performance, we still seem to be in kind of the same area. As it currently stands, both axe mode and sword mode damage isn't exactly great, so as I say, it will need to get some really significant ups to change that. And it's still ultimately a shame that Rapid Morph, one of the most iconic Switch Axe skills, doesn't actually really get used, and this isn't kind of gonna change that in theory. When it comes to Charge Blade then, things are looking pretty swish. Hollow is very pleased, and that's echoed in a lot of the Charge Blade community. Chiefly because this is just some quality of life that should have been there from the start. All your guard points now are also perfect guards, so you can go into your Savage Axe, which is really, really nice, because currently you just deliberately perfect guard a monster, and then you power up, and then you're all happy, well, and good. So now you can use, you know, the rest of the moveset to do that, though in theory you're still just gonna take a easy perfect guard, because it's quicker and, as I just said, easier, so it's nice to be there, but maybe not as completely earth-shattering as it might initially entail. The buffs, however, to Amped Element Discharge and Super Amped Element Discharge is really, really nice. Pushing the weapon more in that SAD direction is a lot of fun, because SAD is a lot of fun, and the Pizza Cutter has kind of reigned supreme for a long time now, and that's actually gotten a little bit of a nerf. It depends exactly how that nerf's going to take place and how severe it is, but that's kind of neat. And actually comboing into SAD is better too. Sword mode's getting a little bit of an increase, as is buffed sword mode, and we just get a little bit more smoothness to the moveset. So in theory, this might either tip it in the SAD direction, or at least bring them a lot closer together with your Savage Axe, so that's really, really cool. Well, Power Axe, I should say. So I'm very, very excited to see what the fate of the chainsaw is, but these are good changes. Then we go down to your heavy bowgun, where we've just got a few little changes, and then some fixes on bowguns in general, and then just your bow. So yeah, fairly comprehensive changes to a lot of weapons here, and I'm really, really excited to properly give them all a test. Even the seikret then is getting a little bit of a tune-up. We've got a faster call of your seikret, which honestly is already ridiculously useful, so that's just going to make it even better. And then some more responsive updates too, and you can dismount while drifting. How many of you knew you could drift? In any case, the support hunters are getting a little bit of a buff, and basically that's just, you know, they're getting the weapon changes, like Olivia getting the new hammer attack, but also just getting the power increase if you are HR 100 or higher, which is really interesting as a decision. Then we get down to the wall of miscellaneous. So this is fun. It would have to be a massive increase to be worth it. Believe me, we have tested, but hey, that's nice. The skill info window can be opened quickly. That's really, really nice. And getting a little bit more just quicker usability around the UI is also nice. Actually being able to look at what food skills do is really good. That should have been there from the start, but hey, it's nice to actually finally get it. Then we have a few more little tweaks that should just make the game feel a lot smoother and nicer to play. And talking of feeling smoother and nicer to play, we do have a couple of the changes here. The amount of VRAM used when at texture streaming. Now, if this actually does help, because VRAM is one of the big bottlenecks that actually Wilds is really suffering with, then that is of course a huge positive change, but we'll have to see how it actually ends up affecting things. Then there's another fix with estimated VRAM usage, and another one here. Nothing again crazy, but steps in the right direction. Then we got another wall of fixes, and then some changes to actual quests, which again is just kind of another wall of fixes. But that's all good. We should find it harder to have those ridiculous modded hunts that have been going around that just kind of ruin everything. But other than that, yeah, there we are. That's a look at what is happening, and a lot is happening. There's a lot to dig into, a lot to explore, a lot to test, and a lot to be excited for. Let me know what you think, especially for your weapons, the update content in general, and how you're feeling about it. For now then, like you've enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more, consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.